Hello everyone! In today's video, we will be covering some of the advice that I have for high school debaters. In a word, debate is discouraging. In my opinion, it is very discouraging, more so than other sports. Some of this comes from the harsh feedback your coaches may give, which should stop. Some may come from the many losses you will inevitably experience, which you should get used to, but you won't always accept. But a lot of this discouragement will also come from yourself. And of course, a lot of this is negative self talk that is inaccurate and can spiral into a worse self perception if you do not catch yourself by developing a healthier mindset to learning. So, naturally, some may think that it's helpful to power through these difficulties when really this is unrealistic for a lot of novices or people that are starting out. When I first started debating, I didn't immediately fall in love with it. Obsession for improvement, or what some of you may call as grit, does not come naturally for a lot of people. I think a lot of this boils down to the daily choices we make to commit to the specific goals that we set for ourselves. And for me, when I was starting, that was to become more critically minded and comfortable with speaking in front of others. So the objective for any high school student is not to have fun, get good, or train relentlessly, because these are vague goals. It should be to create an environment that is conducive for you to make the choices that align with the different stages of your learning journey. So this is what I will tackle for the next few slides and in this video. First, acknowledge your core beliefs on learning. What do you know about yourself? How can you use your past experiences of learning in other fields to apply to this sport? For example, I was a student who always preferred studying alone, so going to training was initially very awkward for me. I learned to make sure that I would have alone time to process the comments I got in training and revise and practice speeches in front of a mirror, since I wouldn't always grasp these concepts immediately in front of my peers. I would record my own speeches and play them back when I got home. The point of this is to acknowledge that we all learn differently, but more importantly, we are already good at learning in some ways more than others, so we should maximize this. Second, create as many opportunities for fun as possible. Read on the topics that interest you the most so that you can brag about being an expert on a particular thing that you're already immersed in, and ask your coach to give you motions to case build related to this topic. Mix up your training sessions with a variety of exercises. Try debating without notes. Try to mimic a theater class by doing cringe manner exercises by selecting an emotion that you will focus for a particular speech, or even try accepting 2 POIs. Adding as much novelty to training can make it more entertaining and enjoyable, not for you but also for others, and that is usually the easiest way to generate motivation and interest early on. Third, copy a lot in the beginning. Transcribe the introductions of memorable final speeches that you like. Write down the logical steps that were used in that classic argument on democracy that was executed really well. If you have trouble making whip speeches, use the structure of a whip speaker that you like to follow. If you have trouble memorizing geopolitical examples, then use the examples that top debaters usually choose for their own speeches on similar topics. The point of this exercise is to build your intuition on what works and what does not work in a debate speech. Eventually, the more of a debate nerd and historian that you become, the more you're able to build an entire library of arguments and a set of situations that you can utilize for your own speeches. Fourth, use reliable metrics to track your progress. Coaches, judges, tournaments can all give an overwhelming amount of feedback. You didn't break at this tournament. You averaged a below average speaker score. You have a confusing rebuttal structure that is all over the place. You speak too fast. A lot of this, for your specific purposes of improving on the daily grind, is noise. Because, of course, none of us becomes a better debater overnight. And neither do all of these metrics improve in one go. So instead of hyper-focusing on one metric, which is subjective, like your speaker scores, and instead of taking everything all at once, I would recommend picking a few metrics that are related to one particular skill that you want to improve on, and then gradually working on this every training. For example, you might be working on developing your extension building skills, so you can break it down into different metrics. Are you winning the rounds in which you are closing in? Did I give a new extension in this speech? If I did give a new extension, then was it relevant? For how many training sessions in a row was I able to do this? When my opening team is much stronger, am I able to maintain this streak? It's important to make your questions more specific when you are asking your judges for feedback. And the point of this is not to abandon all metrics, but to choose the sets of metrics in a way that can guide you to being more specific in your training. Lastly, test yourself at the limit under different training regimes and different controlled environments. Fortunately, there will be many opportunities to debate, and there are increasingly becoming more and more opportunities available to many young debaters. So join several major tournaments across multiple weekends, compete internationally against high schoolers from different countries, and even against college debaters whenever possible. In training, ask your coaches to debate against you. Add constraints every now and then. Try and deliver the same argument within a 5-minute speech without changing your speaking speed. Try and deliver 10 PM speeches in one training session in a day. Spend another day just prepping for one very difficult motion and make the most comprehensive speech that you can imagine. Of course, this is tiring. The point of this is to burn out in a very productive way. You want to understand your own capacity and realize how much you underestimate yourself, while still being exceptionally prepared because you are continuously challenging yourself. And to wrap up this video, I'll just say this. At some point, you will encounter difficulty. This is inevitable. You might even plateau and feel like you're not making any progress. In all of these things, these tips that I just mentioned are also ways for you to remember to be kind and patient with yourself. They are anchors for self-development because you've designed your learning journey in a way to make a lot of mistakes, but also notice the things that are in your control. Can I copy something to incorporate in this speech? Can I make training a little bit more fun so I can confront my weakness in a healthier environment? Can I see how overblown my fears are after I have limit tested this countless times in training? My hope is that you can welcome difficulty and embrace it, because that is when we can best transcend our own limitations. So that's pretty much it for today's video. Thank you everyone and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.